Good morning, everybody. Betting for breakfast. Final four bets powered by the Shorr app, the #1 sports gambling app. If you guys haven't downloaded the app, go and download that today. Tremendous show we have lined up. No Dave Kleckner today. We have some special guests with us, Colton Sroka and Shorr, professional handicapper. Can't wait to get into all four games. Guys, it's been a tremendous tournament so far. Tons of excitement early on. We saw a lot of big upsets. St. Pete's obviously captivated the hearts of America. Everybody running around with their Peacocks gear. But now we're into the Final Four, right? We're into a different place. The chaos has quieted, right? And it's really just about coaching, preparation, and getting these teams ready to play against the country's elite. We're down to the four best teams. We got Nova in Kansas. We got UNC and Duke, which might be the greatest college basketball game ever that we're going to have between these two storied rivals. So I can't wait to get into it today with each of you. I'm going to start with you, Colton. Colton, do a tremendous job. First off, I love all your content over at Talking the Line. You do a great job. How's the tournament been treating you? What are some of the angles you've been able to take advantage of, or what are some of the teams that, were able to cash in for you this tournament?
Most definitely, Mark. I appreciate you having me on. It is an honor and a pleasure for me to be on here. Hopefully I can fill the legendary shoes of the great Dave here on this beautiful Saturday morning. But, some of the key things that have really been sticking out to me is really taking note of that contrarian side. And we talked about this pre-show, but it's really seemed to me that throughout the course of the entire March Madness tournament, that the teams that nobody is talking about, you think about those St. Peters, you think about those Houston Cougars that have made those runs, the teams that nobody is talking about are those teams that have been smacking people in the mouth all day long. So I don't want to tease too much of where my head might be lying, but nobody seems to be talking about Villanova today, and nobody seems to be talking about Duke. But who am I? What do I know? Appreciate you having me on, my friend.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to talk about both of them for sure. And that brings me over to Ann. Ann, thanks for coming back. It's been a little bit of a while, but we appreciate you making some time to come on the show today. Always tremendous insight. Now, for you guys that are listening that don't know, Ann, professional handicapper, when she texts me, it's time to fire on a live total. I hit the sports book immediately and I fire on that total. You got to smash it. So, Ann, how's the tournament been treating you so far? Are you excited about Villanova today?
Oh my gosh, I can't tell you how excited I am today. It's great to be back here with you, Mark. It's been a while. I love coming on the show and hanging out with you. We always have a good time. And hey, we always win too when I'm on here. So let's keep that going, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm just ready. It's been just such an emotional March Madness for so many teams. I was riding out that St. Peter's. I was taking the money line every day. I had the money line 2 last game. And then I saw that last minute line movement and I said, oh, this is not going to be good. I was actually at the game, to be honest with you. I was there. So.
Oh, amazing. Must have been an amazing experience. But yeah, you can kind of tell by the line, like the line not moving, even though a lot of people are getting excited talking about St. Pete's. And you just see it in the tournament. I feel like, I alluded to it a little bit in the intro, like in the beginning, there's the chaos, you get the upsets, but those teams just don't have the staying power to win 5-6 games in this type of tournament, and it's just eventually they kind of fizzle out. Michigan, another one, nice run. A lot of people didn't expect, they die off. We saw it with Miami Hurricanes, the tank just ran out, right? Against Kansas. Kansas put the locks on them, 15-point second half, and that was it. But, lots of good angles during the tournament. I know a lot of people have cashed a ton of first half unders. That was the big thing you heard publicly. Everybody hammering those first half unders. And there's a lot of that talk going into these games as well, with the teams playing in the Superdome, different location, different venue, much different sight lines. So the total has been a big topic of conversation in both these games. And guess what? I always tell bettors as well, the sports books are aware that they're playing in the Super Bowl, and the sports books are aware that there's going to be sight lines. So there's definitely been adjustments made for that, but we're going to get into each game. We're going to start with the first one, Villanova against Kansas. Villanova team, obviously, Justin Moore, the big injury is what everyone's been talking about. Can they overcome this low offensive output? We've seen it throughout the tournament, but that's how they get the job done. Very efficient on offense. Connor Gillespie leads that offense, ball movement. They get the defense moving. They take advantage of them. They get them to the free throw line, and they're automatic. Deadly, 90% from the tournament. And now they take on Kansas, who is the probably most talented team maybe left in the tournament between them and Duke. And they're a team that really showed in that second half against Miami, outscoring them, I think it was 43-15, how dominant they can be when they put it together and are clicking on all cylinders. And I think the question in this one is, are they going to be able to do that, play 4 quarters against this Villanova team? Colton, I'm going to start with you to get your take on Villanova, Kansas. How do you see this game playing out? I got 4.5 this morning at BetMGM. We're seeing it move down to 4. We're seeing the total right around 133, kind of moving a little bit, some 132.5. How do you see this one playing out, Colton?
Well, news to me that we all cash tickets when we're all live on the show here together. Hopefully I can bring those same vibes. Hopefully everything's good. So seems to be this is a squad right here today. I'm taking the Villanova Wildcats plus the 4.5 as well. And I kind of want to key in on something you mentioned there, and it's that defense. That half-court defense is really, really, really what did it for me. And I want to tell you guys about a conversation I had on Wednesday, or actually Monday of this week, with Jim Root of the 3-Man Weave, and he does some stuff for Action Network, stuff in between. Electric human being. We had some great conversation on college basketball and everything coming up. And he said, something that I don't think enough people are realizing is that even though Justin Moore is out, is that Villanova is one of the most cohesive units in all of the college basketball landscape. They have this uncanny ability to pick up ball in the half court, and their 1 can stop a 5, their 2 can stop a 4, their 3 can stop a 5. It doesn't matter. They don't have to get into the half court and be running backwards thinking, oh, I have to pick up Agbaji. Oh, I have to pick up Brown. They can just run down there, pick them up, and we are good to go. And that's really what I think is going to be the solidifying factor, because we've seen it all tournament long. If Kansas can get out and stretch the legs, run, get out in transition, that's when they start putting up points. That's when Remy Martin drops 25, 30. That's when they find their flow. I just don't think they're going to find that flow today. And also, final cap for me, shout out my man Jeff Dawson at East Coast Sports Investors. He's a big UConn fan, and he went to a couple games where they played Villanova, and he said the cohesion of this team is just insane. They have guys in sweatsuits at the end of the court that help come on and clean up the court for the people that are actually supposed to be there to do it. I mean, it is electric. I think it's going to be a tight game. I think it's going to be a defensive game. I think it's going to come right down to it. I'll gladly take all 4.5 with all of you. And Mark, let's go.
Yeah, seriously. And like you bring up UConn, I think that's an excellent point. One of those UConn games without Justin Moore, right? And they still shot 60% from the field. They were 6 for 11 from 3. I think they scored 85 points in that game. They won by 11. They won with margin against the UConn team, which, granted, not Kansas, right? But they're right outside the top 40 in defensive efficiency on KenPom. So, the offense is still going to be able to do what the offense does. They're going to miss the guy. I'm not saying they're a better team without him, but I don't think that the void that he leaves is something that is not that Jay Wright and his squad's not able to overcome. You look at Jay Wright, 7-1 against Bill Self, absolutely owns them to the number. And it's just an example of Bill Self, kind of a history of not meeting expectations, market expectations. Jay Wright, completely opposite, right? You can't count that guy out. And I know you're huge on Villanova. I can't wait to hear what you have to say. I think we're going to be a clean sweep, all 3 people. Bam, 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 Villanova. But how do you see this one playing out? You putting your money on the Wildcats?
You know me. So we've been talking a little bit throughout the week, Mark, and you know how I am. I read the lines. I watch the line movement constantly. And to me, that tells a story, right? So the story I'm getting is here we have Villanova. They come in as the line opened up 3.5-point underdog, right? Total set at 131. Now we currently look at it. We're getting that 4.5, the minus 4.5 for Kansas. And now the total, I have seen it now for the 133. So you go from 133 to 131 to 133, and you have, you get another point with Nova, right? So here's the thing. If you look at any game, this exact lineup, this same stats. And if Moore is playing, they are easily a 5-point favorite, easily, right? So without him, they're now 3.5 points underdog, right? So what I think is going to happen is now you look at this total, okay? So you have the 131, now it's at 133. The books are pretty much, they are convincing you. They are manipulating you to in my opinion, right, to take this over and to go with Kansas. However, to me, this story is telling me something completely different, okay? What's going to happen is with Kansas, you're going to see two different things, okay? Kansas is going to rebound. Villanova is great at rebounding. So they're going to try to really do a lot of rebounding and move that ball fast. They play at a fast tempo, ranked 61 for tempo in the country. And so what's going to happen is now this is Kansas's game plan. And then Villanova's like, okay, no, we're not going to let that happen. We're going to take our time with the ball. And that's what Nova does anyway. They use that full 30 seconds to score, right? So they're going to take their time, and then they're going to play. They're going to really come down on that defense. And so what this is going to come down to is a 3-pointer, like a 3-point and a free throw contest, in my opinion, okay? And so when you look at both teams on this, we know right off the bat, Nova kicks ass in 3 points. They're dominant. They're number one in the country for free throws. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, about 4 out of their 5 players are ranked for
90% in the tournament that they're shooting from the free throw line. Nova just kills it there. Automatic.
They are amazing. And so what I think is going to happen is now you see, and we don't know if it's sharp money or if it's public money that's moving this line, but it is a lot. It is enough money to have it jump 2 points. So to me, off the bat, I'm already liking the under, and then going through handicapping this game, breaking it down. Okay, how is Kansas going to play? So how is Nova going to play? I think this game is going to stay way under, and Nova is going to use the same strategy they just did. And we saw that score
against Houston. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And look at the score of that game. Me personally, you know me, I'm a totals girl. I love the total. I definitely would go with the under on this game. But for me, I'm going to take Nova plus 4.5. That's a gift. I think it's going to be neck and neck. I think we might even see overtime for this. I might lay $10 on the overtime.
There you go.
Yeah. And it's just like you saw, and we're going to see the same pattern. We saw Villanova playing Houston, how they played, the tempo, all of that. Same thing with Kansas. The same exact way when they played Providence. They're going to slow down. This is going to be a very tight game. It's going to be, I think, in my opinion, really slow. And what it's going to come down to is who's making those 3-pointers, who's making those free throws. That's what you need to get to the championship. And Villanova has it. And even without Moore, their next guy going in, he's fantastic.
Yeah, I think they do have a lot has been talked about Villanova's depth in this matchup, and hey, if they get in foul trouble, but it's not like Kansas is running 8-9 people out there either. This is the Final Four. People are going with their best players, and you brought up an excellent point with the free throw percentage, and I think what a lot of people don't realize is the discrepancy in free throws and hitting their free throws was huge against Houston, right? It was massive. And you saw Villanova kind of continue to be able to keep Houston at bay and not allow Houston back in the game because they were just, every time they get fouled, automatic 2 points. They go to the line, 2 points, shooting 90% from the free throw line. And a lot of people don't realize Kansas 67.5% from the free throw line in the tournament, right? They shot better during the regular season, but in the tournament. So if we want to talk about the under and we want to talk about the atmosphere playing in a football stadium in the Super Bowl with the sight lines, right? Is that going to impact Kansas as well from the free throw line, right? Does it impact the teams from the free throw line? I'm going to put my money on Villanova to be more consistent or more, consistent to how they've played throughout the tournament than Kansas, right? So I think the free throw shooting, a lot of people aren't talking about that disparity from between what we've seen so far in the tournament. And it's just all about the injury. And I think, Colton, here's my question to you. We talked about this a little bit, before we came on. A lot of people are looking at Kansas, a team that's been very inconsistent, and projecting what they did in the second half against Miami as if they're going to be able to do that for 4 quarters against Villanova. But we haven't seen that out of them in the tournament. We haven't seen them play a full, consistent 4 quarters yet.
150%. And I would not be surprised, much like Ann thinks that this might go to overtime. I would not be surprised that we don't see Kansas come out on like a 12-0 run and everybody's waving their tickets. Oh, here we go. Yeah. Kansas did it, boys and girls. We're here. And then all 3 of us, a kick back, hands behind the head, feet up on the recliner. And then all of a sudden, Nova comes back and they start playing that game. I really, truthfully believe Kansas will probably be riding that momentum wave. And I feel like that's how it's going to shake out. I'm almost 100% anticipating Kansas to come out on fire, and then it just goes downhill from there. So yeah, that consistent full game is just, you're right. It's something that we haven't seen all year long, or all March Madness long rather. And I think that's something we continue to see from them today.
Yeah, I mean, even against Providence, they let them back in the game in the second half.
I got to get a crystal ball.
Yeah.
If it happens, I got to get a crystal ball.
If it happens, I'm pounding that live. I'm pounding that live movement. You bet. I'll be texting Mark. Calling us.
Yeah, 100%.
I'll get your number after the show. We'll make sure we got it all in line.
Exactly. We'll kill this.
But yeah, if they get out to a lead like that, we saw them get out to a lead against Providence, and they let Providence back in the game. Same sort of thing, more of that consistency. And I think another big advantage that Villanova has here, I touched on it, Jay Wright 7-1 to the number when playing Bill Self. He's beaten better Jayhawk teams in this tournament, much more talented Jayhawks teams in this tournament in the past, in his route to 2 national championships. So I really like that matchup as well. I mean, I think, you get Jay Wright, you get him the whole week to prepare, for Kansas. And then there's going to be that adjustment period where, Kansas doesn't know how Villanova is going to approach not having more on the court, what some of the things they're going to have to do offensively. And it's going to take some time for Kansas to adjust to that. And I think that helps Villanova as well. But I think it really comes down to, again, huge disparity in free throw shooting. I think that's going to be massive. But I think the coaching advantage is massive too. I mean, Jay Wright, he didn't even bring a suit. He's like, listen, I'm going to smash these dudes in my sweats. You know what I mean? And just enjoy myself this weekend, not even sweating it. But I think, Jay Wright, huge advantage.
And he does. He has a plan. And like, if you look at the last game with Houston, they held them to 29%, and it was like one of 20 from the 3-pointer.
1 of 20 from 3. Yeah.
And he's whether he's going to use that plan or not, he's an amazing coach. And this guy has a gold medal. He was an assistant coach. I was telling you, Mark. He knows what he's doing. Like, so people are going to try. He's going to see what people are going to predict from him, but he's going to come up with a different game plan. And I'm excited to see what it is. Hey, maybe they'll move at a fast tempo. Who knows? But I feel like I know they're going to just really stick to that defense, force them to make the 3 throws. It's going to come down, force them to make the 3-pointers. It's going to come down to 3 throws and 3-pointers. This is what's going to win the game.
You saying that, and I'll just let me cut in real quick. I apologize. Just saying that Jay Wright going to change that game plan that everybody talking about, right? What did I start off with saying? The teams that nobody is talking about and the game plans that everybody are talking about are the ones that haven't been shaken out all year long, or all March Madness long, rather. So I love that you said that. We're just solidifying everybody's points here on one show. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I like. Go ahead.
See, too much good stuff.
Mark and I do. It's funny, like when me and him really combine our brains together and we talk about and it's amazing when him and I are on the same level. It's like it's great.
I'm feeling the vibes. I'm feeling the waves.
We have had our football together. We've had our basketball. Even a year ago. We what did we win on, Mark? Do you remember a year ago what we won on? What did I give out a year ago? Villanova minus 17. It was one of the first shows I did.
Oh, yep.
Villanova, I came in with Villanova minus, and it's, again, like Colton said, like, nobody is talking about that. The books, everything right around us is being manipulated for you to buy those points to even to take the over. And the books want you to pick something, but if you go and you do your research, you're going to see there's a lot of pressure. Even with just free articles roaming around and sports books, they are asking you to take Kansas. They really are. And the total is kind of like, who knows? Because if it does go into overtime, then it could go over, right?
Yeah.
But the fact that the total opened up at 131 is now at 133. And if you've watched these teams throughout, the whole March Madness, the whole tournament, it just doesn't make sense. So
yeah, I think Kansas has been way too inconsistent, and that starts with Abaji. Like everyone's like, "Oh, Abaji's, he played good in the second half. Here he comes again." But that guy's disappeared at spots throughout the whole tournament. I think Samuels is going to give him all he can handle. I really do. I think you're going to see the people in Villanova step up, and of course Connor Gillespie, tremendous leader there, running the offense more efficiently. I think the ball movement that they get, they're going to get those bigs in the front court of Kansas moving and get them out of position and really be able to take advantage of things. Sometimes I watch against Houston. Listen, I had Houston against Villanova, right? They shot 1 for 20 from 3. I didn't believe in Villanova. I paid the price, right? But when you watch that offense against a team like Houston, and number one, the fact that they were able to hold their own on the boards, I think speaks volumes about this Villanova team. And number two, that offense is like an algorithm sometimes. It's like, you see people cutting to the basket wide open where there was no hole. Like you didn't know, like you're like, how did that happen? Like, how did they park the defense that way? It's just crazy how efficient I think Gillespie and that offense is. So I like them here. Listen, money line, maybe a little bit, but we're going to take the big number here. We're going to get paid with the Wildcats and go from there. And listen, for everybody listening, best bets in the comments. We want to hear what you guys are thinking. Definitely make sure you guys download the Sharp app. You can get, it's best for odds comparison. You can get all the best odds for your sports books right there on the app. Bet tracking. You can track all your bets, put it all over your social media, show everybody how much of a winner you are. And also there's a ton of educational tools and resources on there. How to make your own lines, regression betting, prop betting, everything's in there. So make sure you go in there, check out the educational content as well. There's stuff in there for bettors that are just starting out. And then there's stuff in there for sharp bettors who've been doing this for a long time, making a lot of money. So ton of educational content on the app. Make sure you download that today and become a better bettor. But guys, let's move on now to the second game, North Carolina and Duke. This could be the biggest game in college basketball history. I cannot wait for this game. I cannot imagine how these kids are feeling. Coach K, the magical runs through North Carolina for the first time in the Final Four. And this is another matchup, Colton, I'm going to start with you on this one, where I just think we're seeing a lot of recency bias. A lot of people watch this Carolina team smash Duke on Coach K Day, right? And I don't think that we're going to see that happen again here. I think that, we're kind of, if we take a step back and we breathe and we look at these two teams, right? This is probably the only point all year to where there's been a conversation of whether North Carolina is actually a better team than Duke, right? Like all year it's been Duke. 100%. Can they be consistent enough to win the national championship? They have young players. Can those young players, be mature enough and handle this type of pressure? But it was never North Carolina's better until now. All of a sudden it's like, hey, okay, they smashed them on Coach K Day, and now they've had a nice run in the tournament. And in the tournament, not going to sell them short. Their metrics are great. They're playing awesome. Defensively, they're playing great. Brady Manick's playing great. But I just think this Duke offense is going to be a little too much for them to handle. In that Coach K Day game, where Carolina was able to win, they had to score 90-plus points. They needed a 55-point second half. Manick was 5 for 10 from three-point range. I think it's a little too much to ask for them to repeat that type of game in this environment with so much pressure going on. Colton, how do you see this one? Are you on my side with the Blue Devils here? I'm going to be laying the points. I think this is it. Nice run for Carolina, but it ends here.
I'm all the way in on Blue Devils. I am not the biggest fan of Coach K at all, but as most college basketball fans seem to be, I don't know. But I love the 4 points with the Blue Devils today. I'm going to start my analysis or kind of my thoughts off here with something that Ann said. And it's the book's trying to build this storyline to get you to buy, right? And about, we talked a pre-show, Mark, as far as burning the midnight oil, midnight, 1, 2 a.m. Sometimes you're writing your research and it just happens. You get there. Well, last night, it was about 12:30 last night, and I saw PointsBet Sportsbook tweet out, "Wow, isn't it nice that we get Duke UNC for Coach K's last game of his career?" And I thought, now why would a sports book need to tweet something out like that? What narrative are they trying to push? Even the sports book, the content creators
By the
over
way,
there are
Carolina moneyline boost.
Bang. They are even exactly. They are even trying to push that same storyline that this is Coach K's last game. He's got lucky multiple times, yada, yada, yada. Now I'll go what you said, Mark, that Coach K game in Duke. We all saw it, 11-point favorites on their home hardwood. They got bounced out of there like the basketball they were playing with. I'll go back to the one before, though. In UNC, they were 3-point favorites. They rolled on UNC in that game. So if I look
20,
at that,
right?
Yeah,
by 20 points.
Yeah, huge. So I look at that and I think, okay, you give me a solid 7. If this opened up at a 7, I would still probably be interested in Duke. And it opened up at 4.5, and I couldn't believe my mind. And then I wake up this morning and I see it drop down to a 4. It loses the hook. And wouldn't you know, everybody, their brothers, their sisters, their aunts, their uncles, their mothers, fathers, and cousins twice removed are getting involved with the points in UNC today. And I think that is the book's, hey, let's lose this hook so everybody thinks they're on the right side and just keeps tossing money at this all day long. That's my thoughts on it. I love Duke laying the -4, and when I saw a specific sports book shouting out some narrative stuff last night, I said, I think I got to get involved with the dog here, or the favorite here.
It makes you think. I just think Duke's offense, I mean, especially since, Roach has taken over in the playoffs, they've been completely on a different level. And they have the best player on the floor with Banchero, right? So, when I look at this offense, and both times they played North Carolina, they were in the 80s or averaging like 82 points a game. Like, they're going to score in this matchup. And if you dig deep into this Carolina defense and how they've been winning by playing some good defense. Defense definitely improved enough to shut down Duke. I don't think so. And that's kind of the problem here. When you look at Carolina during this season, when teams shoot over 51%, now Duke shoots 55% in the tournament, right? Over 51%. Those teams are 0-6. Carolina is 0-6 in those games, right? So when teams shoot 44% to 51%, right, they're only 10-9. So 18-0 when teams shoot under 44%. So you really see from 44% up, 10-9, they really need to shut the other offense down in order to be successful. And I don't think you're going to see that. And that's a lot to ask against this Duke team. I mean, this is a Duke team to put up 78 points against Texas Tech, the #1 defense in the country. 78 points. So
thanks for reminding me. Thanks for reminding me about that game.
They're gonna do whatever they want offensively. You know what I mean? And in that game where Carolina was able to beat Duke, right? Everyone kind of has firmly implanted into their mind. AJ Griffin was miserable. 5 points, hardly even shot in that game. Like, do we really expect that to happen again, right? The previous game where they won by 20, Griffin had career high 27 points, right? So, you're kind of seeing the two extremes there. And I think those two games are probably the two extremes. We're probably going to meet somewhere in the middle. Duke's not going to win this one by 20. Carolina's not going to win it outright. But I think Duke has enough offensive firepower to win by margin, especially if this is like a 5-10 point game. We've seen this happen so many times. The defense has to continue to foul and try and jack up threes, and then the favorite's able to kind of extend the margin at the end of the game. I think that's exactly what we're going to see here with the Duke Blue Devils in this matchup. I think Coach K's run, this is just another chapter, and I think that this is the perfect matchup for him, the perfect way for him to make a stamp on his legacy to kind of move into the championship game. So I like Duke here, man. I think that I probably feel stronger about this one than I do with Nova. I like Duke. I like laying the points.
The more we talk about it, the more we think about it. Yeah, I really do. And man, oh man, I kind of go back to how we closed out the last one. And I truly could see UNC coming out on a 10, 12-point run. I could see it, and everybody holding their doggone tickets up again, losing their minds. We got the dogs. They did it again. And I think Duke comes flying back in. I think we have a maybe 15, 16, 17 lead change type of game here. And then, like you said, right towards the end, the defense, UNC, they have to keep continuing to jack up the threes and try and lean on that defense. And it's just not going to be something they're able to do. They're going to have to keep fouling. And that 2-point lead goes to 5, goes to 7, goes to 10. And we handle this -4 pretty easily.
Yeah, Manic shot 50% from 3 in that game that they won with 10 attempts, 5 for 10, right? So it's not like, hey, I was 1 for 2. Like, that's something I would throw out. Like, hey, I was 1 for 2 from 3, 50%. You know what I mean? But this is on 10 attempts. Like I said, Griffin, obviously was awful in that game. I don't expect that to happen again. Manic was a maniac. Is he going to be able to play to that type of level? It's just a lot of pressure on North Carolina, I feel like, in this spot. And Duke, again, best player on the floor, right? That helps, right? They got Banchero on the floor. They got Williams underneath. I think that helps them. But I think the biggest thing with this Duke team that has surprised me is that they've been incredibly poised, especially at the end of games. Like if you look at like Michigan State, like just around here, incredibly poised at the end of games. And I think that that's very, very valuable in this type of scenario where with this type of pressure in this environment with the Final Four. I wasn't a guy telling you to take Duke to win the national championship when this thing started, but boy, it's starting to look like it.
Right.
So I don't know. Have we convinced you yet? Have we convinced you to ride with Duke?
The one thing about Coach K too, it's like, and we've seen this, like even back in like the Zion Williamson days, like it was just like they would be down like 19 points at halftime. And he would say, listen, just listen to everything I'm going to tell you, and we're going to win this game. I'm going to coach you to a win. And he has done it numerous times. So like what Colton said, like, don't be surprised if they come out and it's like a 12-10 Tar Heels lead. I'm buying more than, right? But that's the thing is that's what's going to happen is those everybody's buying Tar Heels on the money line. Everybody's buying the spread. They're going to come out strong. They're going to see it. And then, they're going to keep their tickets. Some of them that can cash out on those apps. They're going to do it. They're going to win. But the thing that people don't know is look at Coach K's record in second half games. It is amazing. And so, again, there's the coaching. And so everybody, and we can even talk about the total for this. The total came out at like 150.5. I was now just checked it again. I can buy it for 152. So a lot of people are predicting this game to go over. And it could. We could see, again, this is another neck and neck game. We could see overtime. My opinion, honestly, I lean, and I'm not a big Duke fan either, but I lean towards Duke. And as Colton said, like if that line had opened up at -7, to me right away, there's the story Duke's going to blow them out. And I think we actually might see that. I think it's either going to be neck and neck overtime or Duke is going to blow them out. And personally, I think if you guys want to listen to me, I think you should take -6.5 Duke, alternative spread. Get that extra money, because what's going to happen is if they are on the verge of covering, or let's say Duke is up by 4 or 5, what's going to happen at the end? Tar Heels they're going to give a foul. Duke's going to take the free throws. Tar Heels going to just rush down. Probably will miss, and that's what foul again. So I think it might actually, if Duke does pull this off, I think they'll do it by more than 7.
Yeah, excellent stuff. And
that.
I really think that, again, this is another, harping on it. Like, we're out of the chaos phase with March Madness. Like, we're down to the best 4 teams in the country where coaching and preparation becomes much more important, right? And so now we're talking about, like, me personally, like, I'm comfortable backing Coach K. I'm comfortable backing Jay Wright, right? Not telling you that we blind bet the best coaches, but when you have a week to prepare, like, it matters. You know what I mean?
100%.
It absolutely matters. So,
I think
it's a big factor.
One final thing that I had kind of thought while Ann was talking there, and kind of your last closing point there, Mark, before this one. You talked about not having Duke as the national championship, as the national championship winner before March Madness started. Hell, most people didn't, right? Most people were thinking Arizona Wildcats, maybe the Kentucky Wildcats. I had Kentucky Wildcats. I'll tell you that. I'll own up to that. I got bounced early. Hey, it is what it is. It is what it is.
But here's the thing. My bracket too, my final four.
Blew me to pieces. Blew me to pieces. But here's the thing. The last thing the books need right now is after that national championship line dropped back down to plus 400 and everybody started buying back in on the Blue Devils to win this thing outright. That is the last thing they need right now, is for them to lose. So I'll go back to what Ann's been saying. What do you think the books are going to try and do today? Tell you every possible storyline they can as to why the Duke Blue Devils are not going to be that national champion. And don't quote me on it here right now today. I don't have a ticket out on it. I don't know that I will or not at this point in time. But I do think Coach K and the Duke Blue Devils win this one outright. They take the natty champ.
Yeah,
and
I go ahead, Dan.
Oh no, I agree, and that's the thing too. Like, this is why everybody you should definitely follow Mark, because 90% of bettors. Okay, so when 90% of the population bets, they are most likely going to lose. So they have this system manipulated, and this is why, as being a professional handicapper, I am telling you, Mark is a guy that knows how to read these lines, and knows how to find these manipulations in this story. And this game, these two games right here, it is just screaming to people like us. And there's a couple other cappers out there that, some of my friends that are just, they're right on the same page with us. So it's your subconscious mind is what they're trying to appeal to. And so it's very deep. And so with that, it like I said, they're when you're at this, one thing I love to do is when I'm in Atlantic City and I'm place a ticket, and I see all these people, I like to ask the people, oh, what do you take? What's this? Oh, and they go off and they're preaching from their heart. And to me, I'm like, okay, I'm going and taking the opposite, because I like to see what the general public is, because unfortunately, we are very manipulated with this.
Excellent point. Listen, we got about 5 minutes left in the show, but I do want to talk about the national championship odds real quick. We brought up a good point with Duke. Is it Coach K going to go out on top right off with the sunset? We can see the odds right here. Duke, the favorite for betting odds right now at plus 160, Kansas at plus 180, North Carolina plus 475, and nobody believes in Jay Wright, right? You got the injury to Moore, plus 500. These kids got no shot all of a sudden. But you can see the odds right there. And I think that there is value on Duke, even at plus 160, I think here. I think that, they are probably my favorite. I think that they're going to win. I think if it does get to the finals, as much as I like Villanova, and as much as, Jay Wright maximizes the potential of the players that he has on the court, I just think this offense, since Roach has taken over, has just been too good. And I think that in that type of game, they have enough offensive firepower to probably overwhelm Nova and get Nova out of what they want to do. I don't think Kansas is going to be able to do that today, but I do think Duke could do it in the finals. So when I look at those numbers, guys, I think it's Duke. Colton, I think it's Duke. We're all in Villanova today, right?
Yeah.
Is the plus 500 worth it, or do you might as well just – to me, I think it's a long way. And North Carolina plus 475. For those that think Carolina can get through this game, if they can get through Duke, I think that if you're betting Carolina to win or betting on the money line, I think the plus 475 has to make sense, right?
100%. And the only reason that I would see North Carolina winning would be that their defense steps up in an uncanny way. And then that would mean that their defense carries into the national championship game and is able to do something to Jay Wright, as kind of how we're predicting. So, yeah, I'm going to lean to Duke. I obviously hate taking like a favorite in the futures betting markets, even if it is at plus money. I'm never a fan of that, especially as we kind of get towards the end of March Madness here now, but definitely leaning towards Duke.
I think that the letdown factor is interesting too, right? Because that's what I want to see in the finals is we know with Villanova, right? And it doesn't really apply to Kansas, but we know with Villanova, we've heard all about the fallen star theory, that teams historically, when they get a big injured player, they rally around that player for one game. They have the advantage
Mhm.
that we talked about of instituting a game plan that the opponent hasn't seen, right? And then they get to the next game and it kind of dies down a little bit, right? The opponent that they're playing has seen how they operate without that injured player. They can make adjustments pregame beforehand. And it kind of like fades off, but the value is in that first initial game. Then there's a letdown. And then you look on
Mhm.
the other side, UNC, Duke,
Mhm.
has to be a letdown. I mean, biggest college basketball game in history, right, guys? Like, there's got to be some
Mhm.
kind of letdown into the finals. Or do you think we might not see it, that just the winner of Duke, North Carolina is just going to be so confident and so dominant that they'll be able to kind of, breeze through, whether it's Kansas or Villanova on the other side?
I honestly truly think they'll be able to breeze through whoever it's honestly going to be. I like where your head's at there. I mean, I think it's going to be a little tighter if it is Jay Wright. I do like how you think there with the fallen star theory, and oh yeah,
Mhm.
maybe all that hype and hoopla will come down if they do make it to the national championship. But I think Jay Wright gives him a little bit more of a fight than Bill Self would, just because
Mhm.
of what we've been talking about all day long, of just his ability to, hey, I'm going to do this and then I'm going to do that when you guys least expect it, and just be able to control a game. And I'll go back to what I said at the beginning of the show. The uncanny ability for their ones to pick up a 5, their 2 to pick up a 4, their 3 to pick up a 5. It doesn't matter. They don't have
Yeah.
to consciously think about who they're going to pick up. So that'll definitely,
It's
I
like an
think they'll definitely be
algorithm, man. It's
exactly,
like an
exactly,
algorithm.
exactly,
It's crazy
100%,
how well
100%.
coached they are.
Yeah, so
Awesome
I
stuff.
think it'll definitely be on that, but I think Duke still gets it.
All right, perfect. Listen, before we get out of here, guys, tremendous show, and let everybody know where they can follow you. On Twitter, guys. Everyone out there, Ann does a tremendous job. She hops in. The other, what was it, last week? I think Ann hopped in, gave like 7 NHL plays. She's like, play
Yeah,
all these, and you
it
will
was my
win money.
profit pack.
And yeah, and I played them all.
Did you
And
do
it,
them
wouldn't
all?
you know,
Yeah,
it was
you made
plus.
out
I
good
did. I
then.
ended up plus. Yeah, it was
Every
crazy.
time I
I was like,
tweet,
all right.
guys, and I apologize because I do have followers, and and somebody said, "Oh, and you're live." Yes, I am. Hi, it's so nice to see you guys. Love you all. But yes, though, when my tweet's coming out, everybody's taking it, right? So, and that was just a nice
Absolutely.
little hockey thing I did. I went undefeated actually last year in hockey. If I had to check online my record, but I think I went like 5-0. I rarely take hockey games, and so this was just a perfect little NHL
Opportunity to
profit
hop
pack,
in there,
and
get
it
some
paid.
value. Yeah, it was awesome. So everyone out there, make sure you follow and and again, download the app. Listen, hop into free Discord, sweat these games out with us. The links are in the description here on the YouTube channel. Be a part of the Sharp family. Listen, even after college basketball ends, we're going to have a ton of stuff. It never stops. We got, a handful of professional handicappers out there giving out their plays, exchange information, pick their minds, become a better. Colton, thanks so much for joining us, man. Tremendous stuff. You are putting out content on the daily over at Talking the Line. You do an awesome job. I love your insight. Tell everybody how they can follow you in the future and where they can see your content.
Well, first things first, I got to get Ann's Twitter handle. What's your Twitter handle, Ann? You didn't say it out. I got to get it.
At Ann Shorr,
Ann Shorr.
ANNESHORR.
SHOOR. All right, beautiful. You're definitely going to get a follow from me there. But
Somebody's looking for a profit pack.
Yeah,
150%.
Like, I missed out on this NHL.
I'm like, what the hell's
And
going
Mark
on
will
here?
tell you, I never put out hockey, and if I do, you gotta take it.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Well, you can follow me at Colt TTL Sports. I always like to give this disclaimer. If you like negativity, you like toxicity, don't give me a follow. It is not fake for me. I am peace, love, positivity. It is not me trying to pump some message I am not about. That is what I am in this industry, and it's a message we don't hear too often. So I kind of take it upon myself to spread a little bit of that. So if you like UFC, you like college basketball, you like cash and tickets, but you also like a little bit of motivation, get you through the day, or maybe just a laugh scrolling through your timeline, follow me there. But if you're only interested in bets, got a couple of shows over at Talking the Line, at Talking the Line on Twitter. Got the Wise Words podcast. My main man over here has been featured on that show before. We'll have to get him on for V2. Daily show every morning, 10 a.m. Central till about 11 a.m. Central. Just run through, do a little board walking with Cap and Colt, if you will. We run down the daily board and check everything out. So, yeah, I've been in the industry for about a year and a half. Really started to kind of solidify myself now and starting to build a good connections and some networks. So I am beyond humbled, honored. Pleasure is all mine. The privilege is all mine to sit here with a couple of legends like you here today. Thank you so much for thinking of me this morning, and can't wait to meet you guys at the cage tonight.
Yeah, definitely, man. Listen, thanks for coming on. We'll have to do it again soon. But everyone out there, listen, get those plays in. Get on the Sharp app. Get the best number, right? All your favorite sports books, the odds are right at the Sharp app. Listen, you don't want to be sitting there with 4 when 4.5's out there, right? Go get the best number. Download the Sharp app. Be a part of the team. Cash some tickets, and we will be back next week, next Saturday morning, betting for breakfast. But until then, positive vibes and winning tickets. Let's get it and have a great Final Four.